The swaying silhouette. The old Victorian house sat at the end of Elm Street, casting an eerie shadow over the neighboring homes. Clara and Robert had fallen in love with the intricate woodwork and history it held. They'd been warned of the rumors, tales of ghostly apparitions and strange occurrences, but they shrugged them off as mere superstitions. Little did they know that their lives were about to take a sinister turn. One evening, as autumn leaves rustled outside, Clara was jolted from her sleep by the invasive buzz of her phone. The security system had detected movement in their driveway. Groggily, she reached for her phone on the bedside table, her fingers trembling as she opened the live feed. On the screen, beneath the dim glow of the lamppost, was a figure. Not just any figure, but one swaying gently, a blur of indistinct features. Panicking, Clara nudged Robert, trying desperately to rouse him from his deep sleep. "Rob! Wake up!" she whispered urgently, her voice choked with fear. But Robert, always a heavy sleeper, remained motionless, oblivious to her pleas. Summoning her courage, Clara tiptoed to the window, peering out into the cold night. The driveway was empty. But a second glance at her phone confirmed the presence of the eerie silhouette, now staring directly into the camera, its gaze seeming to pierce right through her. She descended the staircase, every creaking step amplifying her pounding heart. As she approached the front door, she hesitated. The quiet outside was almost suffocating, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. But the live feed showed the figure even closer now, its blurred edges starting to take on a more distinct shape. Holding her breath, Clara opened the door, stepping cautiously onto the gravel driveway. "Hello?" she called out, her voice trembling. But her words were swallowed by the oppressive silence. The air grew colder, and a gust of wind sent shivers down her spine. She looked back at her phone, only to see the figure raise its arms, reaching out to her. The voice that came next was a whisper, distorted yet hauntingly familiar. "Clara!" Her heart raced. Panic surged through her veins as she sprinted back to the safety of her home, slamming the door behind her. Rushing to the bedroom, she flicked on the light, desperate to wake Robert. But as she turned him over, a scream caught in her throat. His eyes were lifeless, his skin cold. With dread, she glanced back at her phone. The driveway was empty, but there, in the corner of the screen, stood Robert, his face a mask of sorrow. The following years were a torment for Clara. Each night, as the shadows grew long, that familiar buzz would sound. And every time it was Robert. His spectral form would appear on the security cameras, sometimes motionless, sometimes beckoning her with an outstretched hand. His hollow eyes seemed to be searching for something, and his voice, though faint, was laden with grief. "Stay with me, Clara." Time blurred as days turned to weeks, and weeks to months. The once beloved Victorian house became Clara's prison. The walls seemed to close in on her, and every corner held a memory of Robert. Friends and family watched in concern as she became a shell of her former self, haunted by the apparition of her dead husband. Their recommendations to seek professional help or even mediums fell on deaf ears. Then the hauntings escalated. Robert's phantom wasn't just confined to the outside cameras anymore. One evening, as Clara prepared a solitary dinner, the kitchen grew inexplicably cold. The buzz from her phone made her jump. When she looked, she saw him, right behind her, his spectral figure illuminated by a ghostly light. Attempts to cleanse the house proved futile. Mediums and ghost hunters fled in terror, speaking of a bond that was unbreakable, a love that transcended life itself. Every reflective surface became a portal for Robert's spirit. Mirrors, TV screens, even water puddles showed his haunting visage. Nights were the worst, as his voice echoed through her dreams, filled with a desperation that clawed at her very soul. "I can't bear this loneliness," he'd moan, the sorrow palpable. One chilling winter night, with snow blanketing the world outside, Clara, tormented beyond endurance, decided to confront this relentless specter. The living room, bathed in the blue glow of multiple screens, became her chosen battleground. "Robert! What do you want from me?" she cried, tears streaming down her face. The room seemed to grow even colder, the very air thickening. And then came his voice, soft, mournful, yet tinged with an edge of menace. "To be with you. Join me now, Clara, or I'll make you." As the wind outside roared and the snowstorm intensified, Clara realized that her love story had transformed into a never-ending nightmare, one that threatened to consume her very existence. Dare to delve into the unknown with chilling ghost tales. Then subscribe for weekly videos of the eeriest tales and darkest legends now.